a quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Tabletop Gold, episode 106. Correct? Yes. David's given me the sixth signal.
The prime number.
Means, is it? I think it is. No, it is. You're right. I'm Lars Casteen, the whatever, and I am joined today by Robin Lange.
Hello.
Zoe Chernicoff.
Howdy.
David Chernicoff, the Tin Man.
Good that time.
And R. Matt Humphreys.
Good that time.
Good that time. Guys, for this opening segment, we've got a fair amount of continuity. We're going to get to our game soon enough. We've got our first town episode in roughly 10% of the entire length of our podcast, which is a fun little statistic. But we have a little bit of continuity in our opening segment today because last week, Armet brought up the topic of Las Vegas as a place that he had qualified negative opinions about. And in the time since we recorded last, Armet has visited Las Vegas one more time.
Future potential sponsor, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
First live show.
Ooh, well, let's see if Armet liked this city or not before we sign on to that. But Armet, you did a road trip with your family and you went to Las Vegas. Tell us all about it. What happened?
Yeah. Long story short, it was actually great. I'm not like a casino guy. I think that ship has sailed. And so the strip didn't do much for me, but we had fantastic food there. I mean, it was a reminder that as a destination, like tourist place, like there's a ton of great culture. And like, I totally would enjoy going back and seeing a show there. Like, there was a big, huge advertisement on one of the side of one of the casinos for David Blaine. And it made me realize, man, I want to see David Blaine.
Oh, hell yeah. You want to see
He's still
David Blaine.
around?
And David Copper. I think I got him confused actually with David Copperfield, who was also professional
Who was
magician.
across the street at the other casino.
Exactly.
Armet, I'm going to ask you questions.
Yes.
Where did you stay?
So we stayed at the Wynn, which was very nice, very lovely. It's one of the casinos there. I don't know too much about it, but it was pretty lovely and difficult parking, but I think that's probably true no matter where you go in Vegas. But like we were just there for one night basically because we were actually driving out to the very small town of Alamo, Nevada, where we were then getting picked up to go out and drive to this really remarkable sort of earthwork art installation by Michael Heiser called City. And it's, guys, it is extraordinary. Like one of the most amazing art experiences I've had in recent memory. He's been working on this sort of enormous Zen garden is maybe the best way to describe it for the last like 50 years, creating these artificial hills and rises that he's covered with gravel and created these enormous berms of like concrete and he calls it volcanic cinder ash, I think, or something. And it's out in the middle of the Nevada like wilds, just in the flat. And it's so beautiful. It has these like long concrete curbs that delineate each of the different kinds of stone and earth he's used. I mean, this is like so much bigger than I could have guessed at looking at the pictures of it. The other amazing thing is when you go out there, they only allow 6 people per visit at a time.
What? Okay. I'm sorry, Armat.
Yeah.
I need to interrupt. Because that is too provocative
It's a
a
lot.
point for me
Yeah.
to not get initial questions out of the way. Okay. If I can try to, so Zoe just sent a link showing a lot of video of this artwork that you're describing. Can I just try to sum it up really quickly for people at home?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Would you say that this is like a sculpture that is the size of a small town?
Yes.
Okay.
I think hence the
But I
the
feel like
title
the
City.
aesthetics are somehow more evocative of like a Mayan ruin. Or I mean, it feels futuristic. It's clean,
I was
but
thinking
it
like
has
ziggurat.
like pyramid type aesthetic. It's really cool just to look at. I can only
It looks like
imagine what it's
concept
like.
art.
Yeah,
It looks
Yeah.
like
but it's
concept art from
huge.
like a video game or like a Star Wars show that hasn't come out yet or something. Like
Totally.
it's very like timeless and static. I don't know. Yeah, it feels like it was like the the aliens left it behind when they made the pyramids or whatever.
Totally.
It reminds me a little bit of like some of those huge installations that like Christo and Jean-Claude did with the fabric, but it's like
Right,
the
wrapping
architectural
the-
version of that.
And you're saying that when you go to see this, there can be 6 people total looking
Yeah.
at this thing.
Are
That's
you allowed
exactly-
to wander? Or do you have to like? Is it to keep it from getting damaged, or just to like lower traffic?
I think mostly to lower traffic and let you interact with it on that sort of more limited scale so that, you're not dealing with other people and interacting
Right.
with them. You're dealing with the landscape and architecture. Yeah, basically you get driven out there. It's an hour and a half from the town of Alamo, which is itself an hour and a half.
So you're in the
from
middle
Las
of
Vegas.
like nowhere.
Totally. This is like,
You're on Mars.
yeah,
Because
pretty
like
much. I mean, it's
Nevada is
a-
like a crazy landscape.
Yeah, right in the desert. But when we went there, it was actually very green and like there's sagebrush all outside of it. So you can, and we had rain, so we could really smell the sage in the air, which was really
This
lovely.
is like a mystical experience that you're describing.
It, honestly, it kind of totally was. Like I did not, I'd looked at pictures and seen some of it and thought it was going to be cool, but I didn't fully appreciate how cool it really was. It was spectacular. I like, and it is a lot of work to get out there. Like
Right.
it's a hassle, no question. Oh, and the other thing is they only take you out at specific times. So you can either go basically at sunrise or near towards the late afternoon towards sunset. So you see how the
Oh, that's cool.
the work changes as the light does.
That's
It
amazing.
was so cool.
Also, what a cool thing to spend 50 years of your life doing
Yeah.
anything. Like, I mean, to that's such a long time when you actually think about it, but like to then have this to show for it and be like that dedicated to it is so dope.
Yeah, the link that Zoe sent included like a picture of this guy. He's like old, and it says like Michael Heiser, 77, has been working on this for 50 years.
Yeah, it was incredible. It sort of reminded me of like, I don't know, a monk that has spent their time like working on this one task for years and years. It's awesome. If you get the chance to go out there, it's definitely a lot of work, but it's worth seeing, I think.
Okay.
And also the
Sure,
Meow
but,
Wolf
like-
was super fun too.
But like, let's talk about Vegas.
Right. What'd you eat, dude?
Right. Okay.
No, Armat, how do you even get a ticket to this thing?
I actually don't fully know. I think you have to reach out to the foundation, which is called the Triple Aught Foundation, AUGHT. I think they only started bringing people there last year, so it's still
What?
relatively recent.
This
Yeah,
thing has
no,
been
it's-
50 years under construction, and they started bringing people out yesterday?
Yeah, totally. And I think they've only been open for like, not that long. So that's like what, under 500 people who've seen it at 6 people a visit. It's like, this is very recent.
How the hell did you get
My
to see it?
God.
I don't know, honestly. Lucky, I guess.
That
But,
sounds amazing.
yeah, I think I loved it. And Vegas, Still not my favorite.
Yeah, I feel like we
Oh,
gotta
right, Vegas. We were talking about
we
that.
gotta do a part 3 on this because I got opinions to share about Vegas that I'm like, I'm just like,
I'm also
ready to
curious
go.
about
I'm
Meow
excited to
Wolf,
hear
but
them.
that's like its whole own conversation. I've had Meow Wolf on my list for a while. Do we have time?
let's do it next week. Let's
Next
talk Meow Wolf next time. Let's just make this show the show where we talk about art installations for the first 10 minutes and then play a role-playing game. But I want to hear
Works for
about
me.
Meow Wolf. I want to talk more about Las Vegas, but I feel like that this Michael Heiser city, which Armand was just talking about, we'll put a link to the article that Zoe sent into the show notes. But I want to talk more about Las Vegas next week too. I just want to keep going and
Cool.
and Meow Wolf and the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I want to hear your thoughts.
I don't like it. Oh no, I blew it. I blew the whole thing.
You don't like
Spoiler
Meow
alert.
Wolf?
No, I don't know
That's
anything
a
about
Cliffy,
Meow
if
Wolf.
ever I've heard one.
I don't. Here's maybe the more accurate Cliffy is I don't know what Meow Wolf is, and I want to hear about it next week.
All right.
Same.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Well, with that hook set, let's move on to our reviews. Thank you to everybody who has left a review for Tabletop Gold on your podcast app of choice. We have a rare this week review on Podbean, which exists, and people love it. People are loving this Podbean. Podbean is a podcast app that for the first year of our existence, the only comment on our podcast was a spam link about like insurance payments or something like that. But now people are flooding to Podbean. There's this Podbean bump happening over here. Everybody wants to talk about us on Podbean, including our friend Yuvin from the Discord. They say, among other things, that the host's Galton accents are just delightful and not at all grating to the ears. And I have to say to
It's
that,
canon.
thank you. Yeah, it's canon. It's on Podbean. There's no getting around it. It's a
You cut
sentence.
all the nicest things from that review.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, he also says a number of other really nice things. He says our show's excellent and it's great and he loves it. But here's the thing: is like I want to call out these I want to call out these reviews and like and feature them and make it a cool part of the show. But I feel like such a dickhead being like, they say our show fucking kills your butt. I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
My poor butt.
My
Oh,
poor-
no.
Well,
my
we
poor
could, we
butt.
could figure out a way.
we can probably
figure out a way to.
We'll workshop.
We
it.
could take the edge off.
Okay, good.
Maybe you. Here's what you do.
Yes.
You could have one of us read all of the flattering stuff.
Okay.
And then you could read all of the critical stuff.
Okay.
So that you're comfortable.
This is good. This is like it's a Jack Sprat situation that we're going to do on this on this
right.
podcast review
It's
read.
an emotional Jack
An
Sprat.
emotional Jack Sprat.
Oh, we've got our episode title. That's nice.
Well, then we have to leave all this in.
Oh no, this was great. This was great. I love this.
Okay, great. Okay, cool.
Okay, good. You know what else is great is our game. Let's get into it. Another day of adventuring has come to a close, and the party has never been in worse shape. Alongside growing tension between newcomer Isthan and the existing members of the party, especially Mag, the day brought with it revelations of how, in recent months, Ao escaped from her mother and father when they attempted to subject her to a transformative process to strip her of her emerging magical abilities. As such, Ao has made it her personal mission to stop the similar processes happening here in the Abomination Vaults, and has single-mindedly been pursuing that mission to the exclusion of all other concerns, including the party's physical safety. When it became clear that you were not all able to continue supporting the young Kitsune's mission of vengeance without some rest, Ao lashed out at Trill, adding their confrontation to the ongoing tension between Isthan and Mag, and ran back to town on her own. And now, word of another teenager in trouble has landed at your feet. Mayor Osef Menhemez's eldest daughter, Doriana, has recently been suffering from a strange affliction connected to the extraplanar nightmare realm of Lange, and a mysterious figure visiting her dreams known only as the Motley Man. So, as you're returning to town from this difficult day, the mayor, Doriana's father, has intercepted you to tell you that her condition has taken a turn for the worse and to beg you for your help. Our longest recap yet.
Well, after our longest adventuring day.
Our longest adventuring
right?
day.
Like
I was
those
looking,
two are related, I think.
I agree. I was looking up the stats. So much happened on that adventuring day. We started that adventuring day on episode 94, which if you're listening to this show, let me pull up my calendar. You're hearing this on June 26th. Episode 94 was thrown down on April 3rd. So it has been 2 months of one adventuring day.
That was long.
It was a long day. A lot of stuff happened. And it seems as though rest is not going to come immediately because the mayor has just intercepted you. Before we get into that, and I have some questions to ask, I want to give a hero point to Ao. I was listening back, and I'm going to play the thing. Okay, good. I was listening back to the last episode, and the moment where Ao decides to shift to melee attacking for the first time and was able to deliver those 2 hits, it was one of those things where it's like, as we were recording, I felt my hand like creeping towards the button, and for whatever reason, I just like didn't push it. But it's like the way that Ao had to get her hands dirty at that moment because of how personal this Sugathi issue is for her is it was one of those moments where it's like the mechanics of the game intersected with the story that we were telling of the characters, and I love it, and it was a huge heroic emotional moment. So I'm sorry for not giving you the hero point before, but there you go.
Well, thanks. I'll use it well. Or not. Or it'll be episode 110 and I'll wonder where it went. That's the 2 options.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. The way that we talked about the exit from the dungeon last time, the 4 of you were kind of split up. I don't know if all 4 of you want to follow this lead of, or any of you, if want to follow this lead of talking to the mayor. So I'm just going to kind of let you guys retroactively decide who is going to be there, who wasn't going to be there, who wants to come with him to visit with Doriana as the sun is starting to set on this beautiful spring day. So what do you guys think?
I imagine that Trill very exhaustedly would still go see Doriana because she had spent so much time with Doriana trying to figure out what was going on, spending all those nights in her bedroom, teaching her music and trying to calm her and soothe her. And so Trill would be very invested in seeing what this update is.
So as the mayor is talking to you, definitely Trill is there.
Mag too, for sure.
Okay.
Same reasons.
I think Ao has stormed back to Rin's. I think she's mad and has just gone back there to either shout at Rin or fall asleep and wait till the next day so she can go back to the dungeon.
Istin will definitely be there. He's interested in everything. This is all new to him. And there's no subject too touchy for him not to trample all over.
Okay. So we'll catch up with Ao at Rin's in a moment. But as the mayor looks over the 3 of you who are there, he looks confused for a second as he says, "It's Doriana. I need your help immediately." He looks at Istin and he says, "Wait. Who are you?"
Right! Hello, I'm Istanovel Volus. You probably knew my dad, Haplo, Thalan Haplovel Volus.
He was a great man. His sacrifice meant so much to the people of this great town. And you're saying you're that old elf's son, are you?
Yeah, he abandoned my mum and me and left us in Absalom and came out here to the boonies to research your dungeon.
And he looks uncomfortable. He's like, well, I suppose none of us are perfect.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really know him. So your daughter's been being visited by a motley men. Is there a carnival in town?
Trill's kind of amazed at how succinct Istin's being in this moment.
Well, because
Must
you
be
know,
tired.
I did have a friendship with a really quite a remarkable
Sir,
Knoll, actually.
young man, we don't
yes.
we don't have time for that right now. I'm sorry.
Right, understood.
My daughter is. He
Oh,
does
of
the
course, of course. Sorry.
He does the politician move, where he is turning to talk to Mag and Trill, and still open to Istin, but kind of maybe his shoulder has nudged over like an inch or two to subtly make it clear that he's not the direct address of this next thing that he says.
And I think Istin doesn't pick up on that at all, and is sort of closing in on him and actually like popping his head up behind his shoulder a little bit more. So what's going on with your daughter? Let's see if we can help her, right? Help the man's daughter. Help the man's daughter. Help the man's daughter. He's pointing it all.
Istin, yes, we got it. That's what we've
It's
been
a
doing.
call to adventure. We gotta go.
Okay, Campbell.
Your enthusiasm speaks volumes, but please. And he's frazzled at this point. He says, I can't keep talking here. You have to see what's happening. And his facade cracks for a second.
Oh,
Trill looks up at Mag. You got enough energy to go check this out?
Yeah, surely.
So, the mayor leads you back up to Menhamez Manor, up on the cliffside facing the town, and leads you into the front hall where his wife Emnala is putting their kids to bed. And she looks distraught because while Oliver, Bendrick, Janice, and Bartolomeo are behaving like the perfectly composed politicians' children. These are people that have grown up in the public eye here in Otari. Their hair is perfectly combed to the side. They have their pajamas on. And they're obeying what their mother is saying. They are cooperating. They are ready for bed. But then when you look at Doriana, you can see that something is off with her.
Please tell me she still has both her hands.
Well, let's get to it. Her hair is a mess. She has these deep, dark bags under her eyes and has this kind of like off-putting smile on her face. And she's just a mess. She's like jumping up and down on the Davenport, goading her mom, saying like, "It's not bedtime. I'm not going to bed. It's not bedtime. I'm not going to bed." And laughing and like rolling around on the floor. The mayor looks at you and says, "Now, you know Doriana. This is not my Doriana."
Yeah, this is pretty bizarre. This is not Doriana here. Ooh.
And he sort of brings the three of you in close. He says, "On the one hand, her nightmares are getting better. She's not waking up in the night screaming anymore. At first I thought that was an improvement, so I didn't get in touch with you. But now, it's like those nightmares have crossed into the day. She's talking to this motley man during the waking hours like he's her imaginary friend. She won't even listen to me sometimes. She just talks to the motley man and just laughs and laughs and laughs."
Has she said anything about the motley man in relationship to hands?
I don't know that she said anything about hands, but maybe you should take a closer look at her.
Oh no.
And he's trying to make an inroads with Istin. He looks at Istin. He says, "You ever seen anything like this? Maybe a fresh pair of eyes is what we need here."
Iston try and recall knowledge about, like, I assume on the way over, he's been trying to get, perhaps for better or worse, the background from either Trill or probably Trill first, then Mag would be my guess.
Yeah, and Trill gave like the basics of like, listen, this is what's happening. We have no idea why.
Yeah, can he try and recall knowledge about Lange and the Motley Man, or if there's anything connected?
Well, what do we know about Lange and the Motley Man right now? We know that, Lange is this extraplanar region, like beyond
Just
the plane of
outside
dreams.
The Dreamlands?
It's like the nightmare plane, basically. We know that this ruby is a device used by creatures that live in Lange, that they use as sort of like a extraplanar travel kind of deal. I think that there's not much of an opportunity just by kind of looking and hearing the background of the story to gain more information. But I think that context is helpful if you were to try to talk to her more. I think the one thing that Iston picks up when he's looking at the room is that the 4 kids, like the parents are obviously distressed, right? But the other children look as though, like, you see a look of like derision and judgment and dismissal from them as they look at Doriana. You get the feeling like they, as younger people without the context to maybe have pity on her, have started to ostracize her.
It's rough.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt you, Armet. David,
No,
how
please.
is so Mag has this history with Doriana.
Yeah, she does.
How does Mag react to this, seeing Doriana having lost control?
I don't know that. Maybe this is kind of a counterintuitive answer. I don't know that Mag's history with Doriana affects her reaction to this particular display, or at least as you've described it, this seems like somebody who is in the grip of some sort of like, whether it's like sorcery or madness or regression, like it almost seems like she's acting like a much younger child, and maybe the way her siblings are reacting to her is the way they would react to a younger child who's like misbehaving rather than their older sibling. And I think this mostly strikes Mag as alarming and worrisome. I think Mag doesn't necessarily care for Doriana, and this doesn't seem like Doriana. So that kind of personal feeling or wariness or grudge or what have you, almost like isn't
It doesn't seem
active
relevant
here.
Right.
Yeah, it seems exactly. It doesn't seem relevant. It seems more like you're looking at, at someone else.
Right.
Never turn your back on a drug.
Or the ocean.
I think. Well, let's put Mag's sense of remove to the test for a second, then.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you step into the room and you have this like quick sort of back and forth appraising the situation, you get eyes on you, you get a lay of the land, and you see how disruptive this situation is. Doriana whips her head around, sees Mag, and sees the rest of you. And she starts running over, laughing at you and taunting you, but spending extra attention on Mag. She starts grabbing at Mag's arm and just starts chanting, Big Mag, don't drop the hammer from your hammer bag. And she sort of starts rolling around on the floor as she's smiling and just looking at you balefully, just hatred in her eyes as she stares at Mag.
Well, let's roll for initiative.
Yeah,
Right?
let's. Okay, this is going to be a quick encounter, guys.
I was going to say, so Trill smacks Doriana.
Okay.
No, but actually I think Trill would like try and smack some sense into her at this point.
I think that this makes a little bit of sense. Trill knows Doriana.
We've spent nights together in her room with her Trill trying to take care of her.
So
yeah,
as
Trill, I think, would like try and do kind of the big sister thing of like, snap out of it.
So, Trill walks up and like forcefully physically restrains her. Nala shouts out, her mother shouts out, like, what do you do? And Osif puts his foot down and says, Amnala, please. And you can see on his face, like sweat starting to bead on his forehead. This is kind of his worst nightmare as a politician, right? Composure means more to this guy than like anything. And Trill, face to face with Doriana, looks in her eyes. She sees Trill. She like mocks Trill for how short she is.
I'm used to it.
She's like, "You're a weird little creep."
I'll be a real creep in a minute.
You can see behind her eyes maybe the glimmer of a part of her that trusts you, that is pleading for help. Just the briefest glimpse of a moment. You see something maybe at the far recesses of her consciousness.
Oh.
Istin sort of has an idea. He goes, "Do you mind if I try something?" Like, it's starting to sink into him that this is like how desperate the situation is. But let's see if he's completely gotten the wrong foot again about things.
Yeah, I do think though before he would cut in, as Trill is like seeing that in her eyes, she would also do a quick once over of like Doriana's whole body.
Okay. Let me give you the body business. Get ready
Oh no.
for body.
Can you ever really be ready for body?
Can you be ready for body? Wouldn't that be like
language?
doesn't that sound like a body language? Doesn't that sound like a Robin ROBYN track or something? Like
Yes.
Get ready for body.
And I'm here for it.
We got to get an
I love her
AI
so much.
to plagiarize Robin and do a track called Get Ready for
my-
Body.
God, I love her so much.
Okay, here's the body business. She has bruising on her right arm. If you recall, you saw that skulk woman in the larder of the Warped Brew Tavern, deep underground in Gauntlet. She said, "The motley man takes hands, the motley man takes hands." You see bruising all around Doriana's right hand. And you notice from time to time that she is scratching involuntarily, mid-mockery, at that bruise. And there's like a strange pattern to that bruising. And that's what Trill is able to get a sense as she looks over Doriana's body. And then Istin steps forward to try something out. What's Istin going to do?
Well, he casts slow on her. I have a level 3 slot left, and why not calm her down?
As somebody who, running this game for 2 years, hates nothing more than the spell slow, I am thrilled for you to use it on Doriana rather than on a monster. This is incredibly good news for me. So yeah, you cast slow. Tell me, how does that look?
Basics of Istin's chanting, a little bit of quick incantation, light sort of shifts around his staff, and then vanishes from the staff and appears around Doriana, almost as if time itself is warping a little bit around her, slowing her down.
And there's like maybe a faint crack of magical energy as she shifts from like ha to like ha 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 ha. And it's almost like an immediate sedative. If Istin is able to like stick his head in, you're able to like get a look at her movements. It's almost like you've attached a microscope to the situation. You're able to see with incredible clarity everything going on with her.
You mentioned the bruising patterning. Can he take a closer look? I think he'll go up and like get down on his haunches next to Trill and take a look at it.
Nice call, Istin.
Oh, I have my moments.
So Istin's able to like press in really close as you see like Doriana looking down and seeing you and like straining to move her arms out of the way, but they move so slowly that you're able to like keep pace and get a very, very good look at her arms.
And I think he's like trying to be very delicate about it in a way that Istin is not normally. Trying not to harm the bruise or anything.
Yeah. Anyone who's trained in occultism can give me an occultism check to decipher writing based on the patterns on her arm.
Oh, I believe I have a special thing for that. Oddity identification?
Well,
It's writing. You said writing.
yeah, and I was wrong because I'm an idiot. Oddity identification is about mental and what is it?
I thought it was also writing.
I don't know what it is. What is it? How does this nonsense work?
Let me find it. I gotta open up.
I got it.
You got it. You got it faster.
Identify magic with mental possession, prediction, or scrying traits. I think this applies. I think
Why,
that's
thank
relevant to
you.
this. Yeah, sure.
So how do I roll it with that?
I'll just add a +2 onto your deal.
Well, there's my private one. I have no idea what I rolled.
Okay. Oddity identification, and this is important, gives you a +2 bonus to an occultism check that I deem relevant. You rolled 2 underneath the DC. So that +2
I rolled 2 underneath the DC.
gets it for you.
Yes!
This is quite odd, in fact, as you identify the writing on her arm. You can see that this is writing in Aklo. Like the language of deep underground societies. You see words that are related to dream traveling rituals. You can tell that something has ritualistically been inscribed on her arm in Aklo that is related to pulling her into and out of the plane of dreams.
Well, that's messed up.
The mayor turns to you and says, What is it? What do you see?
This is some dark magic here. Someone's performed a ritual, and but I don't know if it's on this plane or on that plane.
Do you think they're trying to? Is he that plane? Is he pulling my daughter into a? What is happening?
Honestly, and she looks at Magnus. Then we're not entirely sure, but we've definitely seen some evidence of this motley man in the gauntlet, in the dungeons. We need to rest before we go back, but I think we need to go back and find out more and see if we can figure out where this motley man is and how we can stop him.
Well, here's the thought. If Eo speaks Aklo and she could write down this ritual, perhaps we could try performing it and go straight to the source.
Trill's eyes go wide.
That sounds like a bad idea, honestly. That sounds really scary.
I mean, what other option do we have? This poor girl seems to be... I mean, I'm assuming here from everyone's reactions that this is not normal for her.
No, it's not.
The mayor turns to the three of you and says, I think Doriana trusts you. You've spent some time with her. You have some history with her. Maybe you'll have luck talking to her, and maybe she'll open up to you in a way that she's not opening up to her mother and to me.
Yeah, we can try that.
Trill kind of very slowly tries to grab Doriana's very slow-moving hand. Because she's still slowed, yes?
Yeah, I think her slow is going to wear off shortly. A slow goes for around a minute or so, I believe. So you've got some more slow time, but it's not going to last forever.
Right, and Trill, I think, suggests going up to Doriana's room to talk more kind of quietly, along with Istin and Mag.
So the mayor is now standing at the doorway of Doriana's darkened, pink, wallpapered room. A little bit of candlelight behind him, casting him in silhouette as the three of you sit down to talk to Doriana.
I think Trill would start off and say,
Doriana, what have you been dreaming about recently?
I haven't. There's no dreams. There's no dreams, you idiot. You big idiot. It's just, in the day. I haven't even slept. I haven't even been sleeping. Why would there be dreams? And again, you see this desperation in the back of her mind, and you get the sense that if you want her to open up to you, it might require some kind of a diplomacy check.
So Trill, I think, is going to try and really get her to remind her of those times they spent together, and that to remind her that she's like a trustworthy person in her life, to try and do that diplomacy check.
Okay. So because you have that support from her, you're going to get a hefty bonus to this check. For sure.
Versatile performance does not cover diplomacy. Okay.
I'll let you do versatile performance if you want to try to sing a song to her that's going to make her open up to you. I think that's within the bounds of versatile performance.
I think Trill, we could play a little music to soothe her. Singing her maybe some lullabies, reminding her of all the nice times they've had together now. And so I rolled a 30.
Okay. Doriana shifts from I'm not being, and she starts sobbing. She's like, I don't know what's happening. And she's brought down to earth for a moment. And she looks at you and she says, the motley man, he's real. He is real. They don't believe me, but the motley man he's there. He is real.
Trill looks at Istin and Mag and nods and says,
"Oh, we believe you. We know he's real. What has he been doing to you?"
During the day, he's here. He keeps saying things to me, and she points to a spot on her arm as she's sort of struggling, and you see among the sort of ritual text in Aklo, you see the word Lange is written plain as day in the bruises and among the bruises. She again starts twisting around wildly and says, "Ha! Get out of my room, you weirdos!" And however long you've been able to break through to her, that moment's passed.
And then she throws up pea soup, and now we're in The Exorcist.
Yeah. But it's clear that there's
power of Eridan compels you.
Well, it's funny, Zoe, that you say that, because that is the first time it has seemed like this person's like fully possessed.
Yeah, agreed.
And what's happening now is somebody who isn't her is in her body and trying to imitate what they think this girl or a girl of this age would be doing, and it's just doing a weird uncanny valley.
Oh, I hadn't thought of
it
it that way.
Well, if Mag has a suspicion that there's something like this is the dumbest thing I've ever said, that there's something magical happening here.
Yeah.
If you've reached that conclusion by examining the clues, that there's some sort of possession or something like that happening.
Yeah.
I think you've seen enough. Like this conclusion that you've reached to, the contours of this situation as you've seen them, I think give you enough context to, if you'd like to, attempt to potentially identify the nature of this magic.
My best skill.
Yes. Mag gives me an occultism check.
Yeah, let's start. Mag's listen, it's been a while since Mag rolled occultism or religion. Mag, seeing the physical transformation followed by an apparent like personality shift, and in particular this kind of this sort of like insult, sort of very clumsy provocations seem more to Mag like somebody imitating a teenager doing that than an actual teenager doing it. So okay, so sure, here comes Mag.
Yeah, this Mag is able to determine that this is definitely occult magic. So whoever is identifying this can give me an occultism check.
How does Mag do on her own? I'm just,
Mag on her own believes that she is definitely on the right track, that she is possessed by some other creature.
A natural 20. Not that that's what I rolled. I rolled it blind. But I love the idea that a natural 20 for Mag on occultism, all it can do is confirm for Mag, this is in fact occultism.
Okay. I've gotten checks from Istin and from Trill. And I don't mean to seem like a broken record, but with Trill's oddity identification bonus.
Nice.
She agrees, you're able to agree with Mag that this is definitely something influencing a person, the Motley Man, influencing Doriana's behavior. But Trill is able to identify the exact spell that Doriana is under the sway of.
And Mag couldn't? Wow.
That's exciting to me.
Doriana is afflicted, according to Trill, maybe I'm lying to you, by something called the Outcast's Curse.
Ooh.
It's a spell that you touch another person and they become afflicted with a curse that make their presence abrasive and off-putting. She is permanently, while she's under the effect of this curse, not able to do anything positive with deception, diplomacy, intimidation, or performance. And everybody who encounters her likes her way less. This is a curse that you can put on people to make them off-putting to others, to force them to be ostracized.
Oh, fascinating. So like they're trying to isolate her.
Kind of an emotional body odor.
Yeah.
I think that's what's been happening to Istin. Clearly, he's been under an outcast. Yeah, I assume Trill's sharing that with the.
Yeah. So I was about to. So Trill, when she realizes what this is, she looks to the mayor and says, "You're absolutely right. This is not. This is your daughter, obviously, but she's under a curse. Actually, that's why she's acting. I know it sounds weird, but this is a curse that actually makes her into a super obnoxious teenager. Like, that's why she's being so weird and obnoxious. It's the curse, Mayor."
And as soon as Istin hears the word curse, he immediately rests his staff against his shoulder and goes digging into his one of his side pouches for his spell book and starts flipping through pages.
Ooh.
If it's a curse, I might be able to dispel it. I mean, that was my last preparation for the day, but tomorrow I might be able to try at least to get rid of this.
That's amazing.
I also do think we need to record this spell in Aklo. I don't know if it's our first move, but if this takes us to Lange, that might be the only way we can resolve this for the poor girl.
Well, I mean, you got that fancy spell book. You know, all
know,
you
right?
fancy prepared casters.
It's totally like a trapper keeper with like a dragon and like
Velcro.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, the old school dragon ones. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do they have Velcro at Otari?
Well, they call them hook and loop fasteners, of course, because Velcro is
Right.
a trademark phrase.
Trademark,
Yeah.
They use a generic. they use a generic Caldor brand hook and loop fastener.
And it wouldn't be called a trapper keeper. It'd be called like a notebook trap device.
Yeah, it's barely a Mead 3-ring binder, if we're going to be honest.
But it definitely has the schwa thing drawn on it, right?
The schwa. Wait, the cool
Super
S?
S, you mean?
Yeah, the Super S, the
Okay.
cool S. Yeah, totally.
Of course, we all love.
Just
the cool
remembering
S.
everything from like, seventh
Oh yeah,
grade.
everything's
And
1994. Yep.
just remembering. Yeah,
We were in a swimming pool with a ton of that was also being attended by a ton of teenagers this past weekend, and one of them had that S drawn on
Correct.
their like shoulder, the back of their shoulder, at a scale of approximately like 8 inches by 12 inches. it was like a 45-year-old person. It was working on costumes for a movie and was
Right.
like, we need to make this person look like a teenager. What are teenagers into? Oh, that S thing.
Yeah.
No, make it bigger.
Teens
It was
love
like
it.
it was like such a character.
That's really going to pop on camera.
Can I just say, as a middle school teacher, it's so upsetting that it's like 1998 is back in fashion, but it's 1998 when everyone rolled out of bed. I was thinking about the other day, the pandemic has ruined teenage fashion in such a specific way because they all got so used to wearing like just PJs all day that now they're
lazy
just taking
90s.
the late 90s and making it look like they rolled out of bed into the late 90s.
It's lazy 90s. It's not even a like nice version of what we all grew up on. It's just totally phoned in.
I don't mean to, well, actually, you, Robin.
No.
But I'm on the Cool S Wikipedia page right now.
Oh, that thing's still around. That thing's never went away.
The Cool S is a graffiti sign in popular culture that is typically doodled on children's notebooks or graffitied on walls. The exact origin of the Cool S is unknown, but an instance was found in an 1890 geometry textbook,
That's so cool.
and it
That's why
became
it's the Cool
prevalent
S.
around the early 1970s
Yeah.
as a part of graffiti culture.
I know. Just thinking about teenagers just made me think of that, really.
Just saying, it's not the
Um,
90s that are back, it's the 1890s that are back.
Would the
more
Cool S
okay
be
with that.
considered eligible for oddity identification?
That's true.
It
is.
would, right?
Oh, yeah,
I think
totally.
the scrying trait is definitely attached to the Cool S.
I think there's actually a documentary about like someone trying to find the origin of the Cool S. Moving on.
It's called The Search for General Tso, and it's very poorly named.
So as this final revelation...
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
What was it that Istin was proposing to do that he doesn't have the magic? He doesn't have the juice left today, but tomorrow he would be able to. What exactly?
He'll be able to prepare the Dispel Magic spell at one of his highest level spell slots. And when he does that, he can attempt a counteract check against the curse, I believe, and he may be able to.
So Mag hears Istin say this. He could have the capability of dispelling this curse if he had any magic left today. And Mag doesn't know anything about magic. So that's something that Mag and I have in common, I guess. So Mag hears this, steps forward a half step, and lays one hand gently on Istin's forearm. You say if you had more magic left today, you might be able to restore this girl to herself. Would this help? She reaches into her pouch. She pulls out the ring that we recovered. I think it's 10 episodes and 45 minutes ago.
100 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Our first episode.
That would enable a caster of Istin's type and capability to access more magic. I think more spell slots. And she removes the ring from her pouch and holds it out in the palm of her hand. Would this enable you to do the magic you described?
And Istin's eyes go wide. Oh, and he's honestly flabbergasted. Like, this may be the first time you guys have ever heard Istin not having something to say. I will.
And Mag reaches down with her other hand, takes Istin's, and puts the ring into it.
And I'm going to say that I'm willing to hand wave the idea that this needed to be prepared at the beginning of the day by Istin.
Oh.
Like, I'm okay with you taking a little bit of time here in Doriana's bedroom for Istin to attune to the ring and prepare spells in the slots of this ring.
Yeah, I'm so into that. Like, I feel like this is crunch mode for Istin, and he like puts the ring on, says, I'm gonna need a space where I can meditate. Do you have a quiet room I can borrow?
The mayor says, well, you could go to Amnala in my bedroom if you need to.
Perfect. Thank you. And he goes in, lays out his spell book, takes some materials like a owl feather, some like crystals, a little bit of chalk, and sort of prepares a impromptu version of a magic circle on the floor and begins chanting and meditating to memorize his spells the way he does every morning.
After that time passes, you feel like you have attuned to the additional magical abilities that this ring of wizardry will grant you. And if you've prepared to spell magic, you are free to give that a try.
Yeah, I think he'll prepare both of his third level slots with Dispel Magic. So if he doesn't get it right the first time, he might get a second chance. So I think after about an hour or so, he's ready.
Okay. So Istin approaches Doriana. And you, with Mag and Trill standing by you, sink your attention onto the magical effect currently afflicting her. And if you'd like to try to counteract this outcast's curse, go ahead and give me a spell attack roll, which we'll use as a counteract check.
Can Trill support at all with her magical loot?
Sure. I'll allow it.
Allowed.
Mag will support by not rolling an occultism check.
Or think of javelins.
Yeah, no javelins
No
here.
javelins.
Oh shit, I just said it now. Oh.
Damn it!
Don't think of a
Lost
pink
the game.
elephant.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got a support from Trill. What'd you roll?
Trill rolled a 30 on her performance check.
Okay, so a 30 aid check. That's going to be a +2. It's a critical success to Istin's counteract check from Dispel Magic. So let's see what that number is.
That's a 20 on the die, Lars, for a 32.
Some real counteracting.
So Trill's
Actually,
music
34.
fills
I
the
believe.
air, a 34.
Oh, that's
And-
so good.
Istin channels this magical energy over towards Doriana. And it's so potent, it's so powerful that you can see it wrapping around her, suffusing her in this otherworldly light as she throws her head back. And there's this zoop, and the magic wraps around her and then flashes away. And you look at Doriana. And she sits there for a few seconds. And then she says, "What was that? What did you do? What are you doing? You guys are so stupid."
Oh, is the level of the spell too high?
It's a curse.
Or the curse?
It's a curse. You can't dispel a curse with Dispel Magic.
Oh,
You
God.
need to remove the curse before you can dispel it. And I think that maybe that hits Trill, because Trill has a pretty intimate sense of what this magic is at this point after having identified it, after being beyond certain that this counteract would get rid of this magic. I think Trill has maybe two heart-sinking realizations, one after the other. One, this is a curse. We already hit that one. Two, this is a curse that all anybody has to do is touch Doriana to re-put the curse on her. So if the Motley Man is with her every day, he will be able to touch her and recurse her at any moment that he wants to.
That's messed up.
Hmm.
So this guy's like, is he with her on the other plane or is he just invisible on this plane?
It seems like he's with her on the other plane. Like he has pulled her, at least maybe parts of her, maybe just her hand, into the plane of dreams. but that's enough for him to recurse her anytime he needs to.
So with what Trill knows of rituals, could we use this Aklo ritual to enter that plane?
Well, what you have is not a ritual in Aklo. You have writing in Aklo that is part of a ritual. Like, you don't have the recipe. You have the...
Right.
You have the...
Were we to find the ritual that's related to, would we then be able to go to the plane where the Motley Man is?
Sounds like we have an express ticket to Nightmareville.
Toot toot.
4 tickets to Nightmareville. We've got
6 thumbs and it's headed to the plateau of Lange. These guys.
Is it? Well, hopefully 8 thumbs. I don't know.
Right. Yes. Solid point.
Doriana
Like-
has potentially, hopefully also 2 thumbs for her. That who knows what's going
Well-
to happen.
Well,
with
it
that
could just
second
be
thumb.
one though, right?
Right.
It could be 9 thumbs.
Stay tuned.
So
Yeah.
we're in that somewhere in that 8 to 10 thumb range. Is it still a side quest if it's like super more intense sounding than the main thing that you're doing?
Here's the thing I find upsetting. This like weird bruise ritual thing that suddenly results in a cleanly severed hand. Like, this is really gruesome for someone who's clean. Like the lady we saw, her little gone hands it was very clean.
Well, and her
Yeah.
hands were just gone. They were just missing. You didn't even see like a
You're
cut
just
or anything.
on a
They were
different
just...
plane
But
of
like, how
existence.
if you're gonna do that, just take them. But to do like some weird bruise shit with the word
Yeah.
Lange written on someone and then do that is really fucked up.
This guy's a real sick puppy.
Yeah. Sickos.
2 thumbs down.
2 thumbs
on the
down on
Motley Man.
the Motley
I
Man.
don't like him.
I don't like him either. I mean, he's not here to be liked for
I don't
what
like
it's worth.
him.
I think at this point, Trill's going to kind of say,
There's nothing we can do for Doriana until we find a way to get in touch with this Motley Man to stop him.
Can Isthan give me a Arcana check or some sort of check like that?
Yeah. I'd love
As you
that.
consider, I think that Isthan has a unique perspective on this situation that might be helpful. Okay. I just got a secret check from Armat about Arcana. I think that Isthan, as somebody who wasn't present for this and who heard the sort of stories about what it is that's happening here, secondhand, I think that Isthan is maybe able to put together the timeline a little bit that Doriana becoming sick at first, which is like a high profile magical moment in Isthan's mind. It strikes Isthan as interesting that that moment in time is very, very similar to the other big magical moment that Isthan can think of in this adventure that he missed out on, which is the dissipation of a wall of ghosts that blocked the way down deeper into Gauntlet. So this is something that living it is maybe a hard connection to draw. But when Isthan is thinking about what it is that he's been told about the events here, it seems interesting to him that these two large moments happen nearly simultaneously.
right.
So that wall that we dissipated could perhaps have been preventing some Lange creeps from moving back and forth. And when that barrier fell, suddenly, whatever transit was able to happen. And so these Lange incidents have been happening since that moment. That was the transition point. That's what I'm making of what is the connection Isthan is making, Lars, that you're describing. That's what Mag is making of it.
Did we ever go down those stairs?
You did.
Those were the stairs we went down to
Yeah.
get to the 4th
There was the
level.
one
Okay.
stairs. There was one set of stairs that was blocked. You opened them up.
Right. I just couldn't remember if those were the stairs we used.
Yep. So we join Ao in Rin's shop. What do you think Ao is up to, Zoe?
You catch Ao pacing around Rin's shop in the middle of a sort of tirade. She's like, Rin, it's just, it had this thing on its chest and it could put fog out there and it would get into your mind. I mean, how do you stop something like that? And she's talking about the thing whose name I'm now forgetting.
The Sugathi?
Sugathi, there we go. I was going to say souvlaki, but that was wrong.
The Souvlaki.
I like that. Souvlaki. That sounds
They
delicious.
kept spinning around.
It was delicious, Rin.
Juicy aliens.
So yummy.
How familiar is Rin with the story of Ao's escape from her family?
I think she's familiar with the rough contours that Ao didn't get along with her family, that they locked her up and were trying to get rid of magic, which I think Rin kind of treasures this magic in Ao, right? I think part of why Ao has been staying with Rin is that Rin sees this kind of like call out into the ethereal, this otherness, and is like maybe the first mentor Ao has had who recognizes that. I don't think she's gotten super in the weeds. Like, she's been a little cagey. Rin knows she has this like Norman alter ego that she uses to mask some of the pain and to avoid talking about herself. So I think she knows the basics, but couldn't be like, and then the third time they did this, did they, you know, she knows the sketchy details, but not every nuance.
Do you think it's plausible that she would have enough insight to get that the reason that Ao is as upset as she is that
yeah,
okay.
For sure.
So she steps over to Ao and sits down in one of the chairs and just tries to hold Ao for a moment and says, "You've been through so much today. Nobody, especially not somebody as decent as you are, deserves to go through that." And she stands up and walks over to a book among the oddities that she sells here at her shop, this open-air tent. The light of the stars shining down onto you as she walks over and draws this book. The shelves of this shop filled with potions, knickknacks, strange magical equipment. She says, "What did you say this creature was called?"
Sugathi. And that they have a leader. His name is Jafaki. Their name is Jafaki. Someone awful named Jafaki is trying to make the perfect soldier for Belcora, even though she's gone. But that light is still there. And Ao's just kind of ranting.
She's shocked by this, right? Like, she believed up until a couple of months ago that there was nothing below the ground at Gauntlet. So
Right.
the idea of there being a, that there being this Sugathi that has been tirelessly working for centuries to try to single-mindedly pursue this job that Belcora gave to it is just like it's too much, right?
Right. Yeah.
So she's just like, maybe we can learn more about these Sugathis together. That I obviously I can't go down and help you directly, but perhaps there's more that we can do to prepare.
Well, you came to the lighthouse that one time. You were incredibly helpful. I don't see why you couldn't return with us.
But that was level 1, and I'm way under-leveled now.
Fair enough.
You're on level 6 now. It's crazy.
I'll have
now.
no one to stay with if you die.
That's right. Who's going to pay the rent anymore on this tent that we have? But she
Too real.
she's like, I understand why you have to do this. I am afraid, based on what you've told me about what happened, for your safety, and all I can do is attempt to help you prepare. So, and she opens up this ancient tome and gently moves page after page after page to try to get to
The special S.
To try to get to what?
The cool S. She's getting to the cool S for Sugathi.
Ever since
Our
100...
Matt is holding up a notepad with the cool S on it.
How cool is that, y'all?
Yeah, and
Put
she
that in
shows you the
cool
cool S that she drew when she was a child. She's like, this is all you need. The cool S actually stands for Sugathi. It's an ancient symbol of horrible, destructive magic.
Checks out.
She's trying to run through, what do we know? What do you know? What is it that that we could possibly find out for you? And she finds out the things that we've talked about, right? As you talk to her, she knows about mental immunity. She knows about resistance to bludgeoning damage. She knows about the mind fog that it's able to put out.
How do you stop the mind fog, though, Rin?
And she sees something that causes her to gasp as she says, the mind fog, we could bolster your mind. And she goes, and she says, these creatures have dark magic, not entirely different from yours. But there are stories here in this book of Sugathi using their magic to remotely move their bodies, to essentially walk on the air itself. And through this levitation magic, they could stay out of your grasp entirely. You give this Jafaki enough room to step away from you, you'll never touch him. She looks at Chompers and she says, that should help. But if you're relying on your fists or things that you can hold on to, he's already won.
And Ao pulls out the kukri. She goes, what about this? What if I get up close to him and I don't let him step away?
If you can get in there first, if you're not confused, perhaps, but I don't feel good about this.
Ao's hackles are up on her neck. She goes, I'm not going to let him get away.
She says, I know you won't. I'm just worried that if you pursue him to places that you cannot go, you're not going to return.
And Ao looks up at her, smiles sort of tiredly and a little bit maniacally, turns into a grothlet, which I guess Rin would have no context for, but in
She's
Ao's
like,
mind, what the ever-loving fuck?
Oh, no!
It's disgusting.
And she goes, but, so she turns into a grothlet and looks at Rin and she goes, but he'll let this follow him.
And we'll pick up from there next time.
Wow, everybody's getting ready for field trips. Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy, using trademarks and copyrights owned by Paizo that are covered under that policy. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way, and we are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. All original characters and content in the Roots of Ruin are the property of Tabletop Gold, and all rights are reserved. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. On our website, tabletopgold.com, you can learn more about us and our shows, pick up great merch, and connect to the best online community in all of podcasting. Thanks for listening.